You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode.
Good morning, Lowcountry. I am Libby Rorick, Director of Marketing and Communications for Berkeley Electric Cooperative. This is Power Talk. So glad to have a full house this morning and a very special guest I have to introduce first. Ms. Brianna Johnson. She's a public relations representative for the cooperative. And this is not only her first time on Power Talk, but we're throwing her in the deep end, and it is also her first time co-hosting. So welcome, Brianna.
Thank you so much, Libby. I'm excited to be here. This is a new experience, but it will be great. We're going to have a lot of fun. We have great guests, so I'm excited.
Yes, we do. Lots of good information to share today. And welcome to our guest, Ms. Deborah Reynolds, Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Palmetto Goodwill. Good morning.
Good morning, Libby. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, glad to have you. And Marianne Gilmer, Vice President of Mission Services for Palmetto Goodwill.
Good morning, Libby, and good morning, Brianna.
Well, welcome, ladies. We're just going to jump right in because we've got tons to talk about. I invited Brianna to join us today because the main part of her job is helping people at the cooperative, partnering with nonprofits, and so she works with organizations like Palmetto Goodwill, and we're so thrilled to have her as part of the team. So before we get to what Brianna does, though. Deborah and Marianne, each of you take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at Palmetto Goodwill and why it's so great.
Sure. I joined Palmetto Goodwill in February of 24, so I'm still a newbie there, and new also to the nonprofit world. I came from healthcare, higher ed, and prior to that, broadcast. And it has just been a dream come true, honestly, to have found a place at Palmetto Goodwill. You can count me among the probably myriad people who learn things about our organization and say, oh, I didn't know you guys did that. The mission is just absolutely incredible, and I know that we'll get into that a little later. Yeah. But other than that, I live on James Island and have raised my kids here in the Lowcountry. I've been here for a long time and can't imagine living anywhere else.
Yeah, likewise. Marianne?
Yeah, so I joined Palmetto Goodwill in September of 2023, so just a few months before Deborah. But prior to that, I was vice president at a Goodwill in Virginia. And so I was there for 13 years, and my husband and I relocated to Charleston in September. We live over in West Ashley, but we love the area, and I am privileged to lead mission services at Palmetto Goodwill. We have a team of about 40 folks that are throughout the 18 counties that we serve. Okay. And they're out there delivering those services where a lot of people say, I had no idea you did that. Yeah. But really it's training, education, and employment services to individuals in our communities. And so can't imagine a better job and a more enjoyable job, and just love working as part of the team alongside folks like Deborah, and just really a mission-minded bunch of folks. And it's been a pleasure to be in the area and at Palmetto Goodwill.
Well, definitely. It sounds like you guys both have a wonderful, fresh perspective to offer. So we're excited to learn more about that. Goodwill is certainly a brand recognized by most people. What our listeners and viewers may be wondering is why you're joining us on Power Talk today. This show normally talks about services and things going on at the co-op, but as a not-for-profit electric utility, Berkeley Electric is governed by 7 cooperative principles, including one of our favorites. This is a lot of the work that Brianna and I do, concern for community. So while focusing on members' needs, cooperatives work to develop their communities by encouraging economic development, promoting education, and advocating safe use of electricity. So it's just one of our many partners that we have. So Brianna, Good segue. Tell us about your role at Berkeley Electric and how that facilitates a large part of the co-op's concern for community.
Yes, of course. So as you mentioned, concern for community is a large part of my job. That's actually what brought me to the co-op. So here I'm the coordinator of WIRE, which is our service group for all women that are affiliated with Berkeley Electric. I'm also the administrator for our Roundup program. So our members voluntarily round up their monthly bills to the nearest dollar just to help those in need in their community. They also give out scholarships annually. So that's a huge thing here at the co-op. We love it. It's something I've definitely taken ownership of. Libby knows my passion for it. And with that, I'm also the liaison to some of the large agencies in the Tri-County that help with our community. Our Lady of Mercy, Palmetto CAP, Salvation Army, United Way, to name a few. So all of which offer a variety of services similar to Palmetto Goodwill. So I'm excited to hear about what y'all have to talk about today and the services that you offer.
And a quick heads up for our listening audience, Brianna mentioned WIRE, and that's a women's service group. It stands for Women in Rural Electrification, and we're always looking for new members. We have chapters in Moncks Corner and Ondaw, but certainly if somebody lives in Goose Creek and wants to join the either chapter, they could. But if they're interested in learning more, just stop by one of our offices and ask for Brianna, or leave your name and number, and she'll follow up with you, or send us a message on our website or our social media. So
thank you for being my shameless plug. I didn't want to take over, but yes, we are always looking for new members. berkeleyelectric.coop/wire. Thank you.
Well, Deborah and Marianne, we're so glad to have you here today to share some information about Palmetto Goodwill and all the things some folks probably don't know about this well-known organization. So let's get started about talking about what you're perhaps best known for, the retail and retail store and the donation and drop-off locations.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you put your marketing communications hat on, having brand equity is the thing that you really strive for. Just having people to recognize that logo, recognize the name, and be top of mind. And Goodwill is certainly one of the most iconic organizations on the planet, I would say. Mm-hmm. You'd be hard pressed probably to find anybody who looked at that, we call it the Smiling G logo, and not recognize that as Goodwill. And while that's an amazing, bit of brand equity that we can claim ownership of, the wonderful opportunity for me personally as someone new and learning is that there's so much behind that smiling G that sits outside of all of our stores. So to answer your question, I think the thing that when folks think of Goodwill, they think of that's the place where when I'm cleaning out my closet in the spring, I'm going to go donate some goods. I might get a receipt. There's that tax benefit that I get, or perhaps I'm a thrifter. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in upcycling clothing or items, so it's fun to the thrill of the hunt. So I think the thing that most people know us for is that retail and drop off piece, but it's that retail and drop off piece is really what's in front of a lot of things that are happening, mm-hmm. sort of behind the curtain. So it's a stream of revenue and income that we then take and in part funds some really amazing programs that folks may be less familiar with, but really are at the core of what we do and our mission. Which I guess I should take the opportunity to say what our mission is, because I think we got really excited about meeting you guys. When I first came on, I got so excited for the introduction. My friend Chris Mead introduced me to your team, and our mission is changing lives through equitable access to training, education, and employment. And so there's a lot of crossover, I think, between the passion behind what our organizations do. But I'll leave it to Marianne to name off some of the programs that those stores and those donation centers go to benefit.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Deborah. Yeah, I love that we're a social enterprise, right? One of my personal missions is to, I believe in the power of work, and it changes lives and families and communities all for the better. And what I love about, the Goodwill model is that we're out there, we're serving the community by employing people.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, we're serving the community by redirecting those revenues back into our programs and services. And like Deborah said, that's a beautiful thing and to be part of. The programs that we deliver typically are directed toward helping people get a job. So we have a myriad of programs. We have a ICAM program that serves individuals returning citizens from incarceration. We also serve individuals with disabilities and offer them employment opportunities and support, as well as an older worker program for individuals who are 55 and older. And that helps them train and enter employment. A lot of them just want part-time employment because they're receiving Social Security, but they need that to make ends meet. So we help provide the training for those jobs. And then additionally, we offer some direct training in things like fiber optics installation through Google gives us funding and supports that training for folks. And then we have a network of career opportunity centers where people can just walk in. They can get assistance with finding employment, help with interviewing with their resume, connection to hiring events that we have at those career opportunity centers throughout the Tri-County and beyond. So really a wealth of different services, but the common thread is employment. In addition, you may have heard of Palmetto Excel Center, and that's an adult high school that helps individuals who have dropped out get not only their high school diploma, but in addition to that, they can earn a credential toward a job that's in demand in the area.
Wow.
So lots of fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
Last year, we served just under 10,000 South Carolinians.
That's
and
terrific.
Had 3,291 individuals who obtained employment through our services. So it's an exciting place to be, giving back to that community through the power of work.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to hear about that. So you did mention your mission to change lives by providing equitable access to training, education, and employment. I love that mission. I think that it's important to make sure everybody has access to what they need. We have already talked about some of the programs. So can I kind of veer off a little bit and say, what's a program that you would like to bring to Goodwill, or what's your favorite program that you get to be a part of?
Oh, that's kind of like asking a mom who her favorite child is. I don't know. I think for me, though, it is really at the heart of any program that truly addresses those barriers to equitable access. So one thing that we have around the corner, for example, that I'm super excited about is we'll be launching a micro enterprise training program soon and having an accompanying pitch event where folks can give their pitches and compete. The graduates of the program will give their pitches and compete for a monetary award. And so that's going to be in the Tri-County, and we're super excited about that because we know around that idea of equity that folks have difficulty in many cases accessing traditional sources of capital. And so how can we disrupt that and help those folks who have a dream of starting their own business but have trouble getting that loan and that financial support and investment to launch that business? So that's something I'm particularly excited about. I think some of the stories that also just like really warm my heart are folks who are coming out of a lot of times years of incarceration, and they are reentering our community. And really, we want them to be successful. It's a benefit to the community as well as to the individual. And a lot of times they lack technology skills, as you might imagine. They also sometimes have no identification. They may not have a housing and transition plan. They need to be reunified with their families. So all those things that go into helping that person succeed and then see them succeed at the end of the day is a wonderful thing. And for them to have, I bring it back to what it means to have a job and to be earning your own living and see that pride that they have when they're doing that after really coming out sometimes with a lot of fear that what's it going to be like for me to try to be out there making my own way. So those are fantastic experiences that I'm lucky to be close to.
Sure.
Lucky that Deborah tells the story so well, her and her team, to let people know about the successes that people are experiencing in their lives.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Well, we're about to the halfway point. Time flies while you're having fun. So just for folks who may be tuning in, we're talking with Miss Deborah Reynolds, Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Palmetto Goodwill, and her colleague, Marianne Gilmer, Vice President of Mission Services. Talking about barriers, I'm so proud that the co-op recently partnered with Try to Unite Away to help support their barriers to entering the workforce fund. So say you get a construction job, but you don't have the money to buy those important steel toe boots, the fund can kick in and help you buy those. Or maybe you're a parent who doesn't have the deposit needed to put your child in daycare so you can go to work. Again, that Try to Unite Away fund kicks in and helps you out with that. So, some barriers can be mountains to folks who are potentially living in a tough situation. And so there's wonderful services out there, either Try to Unite Away or Palmetto Goodwill to help remove those.
Yeah, oftentimes I'd say that's a partnership too, right?
Sure,
So we can't do what we do without our really strong community partnerships with other agencies.
Yeah.
And so, Libby, I think that's a great point that, it takes really a lot of combination and collaboration of resources to help people really achieve their best success. So that's a great point.
So tell us a little bit more. You mentioned this earlier about Palmetto Goodwill's I CAN program and how you guys are continuing to remove those obstacles.
Yeah, so that program serves individuals in the Tri-County area and then also serves individuals in the Grand Strand. And so really the way that works is someone comes to us. Usually they're referred either through probation and parole. They may hear about us behind the walls. We have connections with organizations that go behind the walls to do a variety of services to individuals. So they hear about us, they come to us, we help them first with some support and stabilization. They come to us in a different state of readiness. Every individual is different. So we really work with them to get them stable, to provide what we call employability skills. But that's like, okay, you're going to have to use the computer. Here's what your first 90 days on the job might look like. Here's how you need to regulate emotion. Here's the way things work in terms of communication with your coworkers, all those things to try to get them prepared for success.
Yeah.
And then we offer them a job training opportunity by joining our team. They work in different occupations within Goodwill, primarily in our warehouse or in our stores. But we are getting ready to offer some computer refurbishing training opportunity to them. And then when they successfully complete their period of employment, and throughout that, we're offering peer mentoring and peer support groups for them, as well as coaching from one of our success coaches. And when they complete that, they have an opportunity to choose any number of options. One might be to go to training for an in-demand occupation that we would fund their training. We could also have them join our team as a permanent employee and team member at Palmetto Goodwill. And then other options they have, should they choose to go to community employment, we'll help them find that next opportunity. So lots of options.
And they have you as a job reference now.
Absolutely. They have us as a reference, and we continue to support them with wraparound services because things come up like trying to get their driver's license back, purchase that first car. So we really help connect them to those community resources and resources we can provide so that they really and truly get in a position to thrive. We believe every member of our community deserves the opportunity to thrive. And so it's not just, hey, I got a job, but it's like I'm really thriving in my life.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tag on to what you said too, because all these sort of pillars that Marianne has laid out that we work so hard for to put out into the community, it's almost like we're holding a mirror up for ourselves, because all the things that we're offering externally are the same things that we want to offer internally. So Marianne and her team are real busy right now launching Thrive for our team members, because it's not just the folks who haven't come to us yet or who are maybe on the external, but we want our own team members to thrive as well. And that is another thing that just makes me so passionate about this organization, because it's a heart for people, whether they're part of our team and employed by us or whether they're folks in the community. And I just wanted to put that out there because it really is at the core of the organization for all people we serve, and that includes our own people, because our team members aren't without barriers either. And many of them have come to us through some of these programs. So it's really a continuum.
Well, and Palmetto Goodwill taking good care of their employees, that just only helps them help more people. It's the old airplane adage of you've got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help somebody else.
That's
so
right.
if you've got employees who aren't thriving, they're not going to be in the best position to offer your services. So bravo to you guys.
Yeah, our team members are a lot of times our best ambassadors, right? Because they're experiencing those same wraparounds and support and success coaching that anyone in the community would receive. So we're really excited that our success coaches will begin directly serving our team members and developing a career and financial plan for them. And that long-term financial stability is so important. So that's one of the key focuses of that work.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes I get an image of when have you ever watched a horse race on television and the jockeys are getting ready for the race, and the gates are down. You're waiting for the bell to sound, and I feel that that's a lot like what we do is we are opening up those gates in a lot of cases, and when that happens, then the people we serve are really off to the races. But you've got to get that barrier out of the way, and once that barrier's gone, I mean, there's really no limit to what someone can do. And I've seen that. Really impressed with the way our Excel school has provided a lot of those wraparound services that Marianne spoke about earlier. Because if you're a 30-something, I try to put myself in that position. If you're a 30-something-year-old woman with a young child or several young children, you're unemployed or underemployed, how are you going to get to, how would you get to school, and how are you going to pay? Daycare's so expensive. I mean, we've seen a lot of that in the news lately about how do we manage the costs of good child care. So we're trying to think through and provide services that you can get to school, because we're gonna help you figure out the child care thing. We're gonna take care of that. We're gonna help you with the transportation. We're gonna take care of that. We'll figure out all the things so that your focus can be on school or on whatever that piece of work that you're moving towards. But and when you do that, it's really kind of magical, and you see these people just blossom and bloom, and then there's the next step they're thinking of, but once you get that first barrier out of the way, it's really like lifting a veil.
It absolutely is, and I think that I think about people that really didn't believe, that they didn't have that confidence, and that underpins it as well. It's just being able, like Deborah said, once they get that first success. So maybe it's an older worker who never thought they would be able to use the computer for work, and so they build those computer skills, which is not a huge heavy lift to deliver for them, but it's huge for them. If you think about, if you're not really using technology, same with the folks in our reentry program. If they don't know how to use technology, think about all the access, and you talk about inequity. They can't pay a bill online. They can't look up about training and education. So many things. Apply for jobs, right? And so I think a lot of it is that one initial success, and success builds on success, like for all of us in our careers and so forth. And so I think it's really wonderful to see them. Well, if I could do that, I can take the next step, and I can take the next step. And many of them go on and they earn college degrees, or they enter an apprenticeship program, any number of things that people may do, and end up really earning great income and contributing back to the community. So it's great.
I love the idea that you aren't just providing resources, but you're removing barriers for long-term success. And I think that is so important. Sometimes people get the resources and don't know how to apply them. And so you're removing that barrier of here's the resources, how you apply it. And I think that is so important. So I love that. You did mention a little bit about college students. So I know you have a program where you're helping first-generation college students get access to laptops. Can you give us a little bit more about that program?
Sure. Well, I can tell you a little bit about what we're doing as part of the Lowcountry Digital Equity Coalition. We are a member in that coalition, and we are also coming alongside them in funding that they've received. And that funding is to take computers that have been donated, refurbish those computers, and it's actually putting those computers into the hands of children and families who don't have that device at home, and who also are seeking to really learn some digital skills and let the children have access to those devices and the internet, so that they can be successful in accessing. And yes, it could be accessing college courses online. It could also just be, I don't know, I have children who are grown, but when they were in school, the computer was everything, and especially obviously during COVID. But even since then, the computer has been, integral to them being able to do their homework, to do their research, to submit projects. And it's hard to believe, but we have a lot of families who still do not have internet access and do not have devices in their home. And so thanks to the Lowcountry Digital Equity Coalition and their work, we can partner in that. So we are refurbishing computers, putting those directly into the hands of those families. And then in addition to that, operating a digital navigation program where volunteers in the community are trained to be digital navigators. And we have 12. We have 3 of those in Berkeley County that are trained to be digital navigators. And that means they can help people get access to devices, but also learn how to use those devices.
Awesome. Well, I'm always listening for ways people can get involved. So if anyone has laptops, hanging around at home that they no longer use, how can they donate them to you?
So they can bring them to any of our donation centers, and we will accept those. Some of those are put into a general refurbishing badge, if you will. Others are directed toward our initiative with the Lowcountry Digital Equity Coalition. And those are mainly larger donations from businesses, universities, colleges, government agencies. If they want to flip out a larger donation, they're flipping out their computers and they want to do something super productive, the Lowcountry Digital Equity Coalition and Palmetto Goodwill will accept those computers in and refurbish them and get them into the hands of those families and children.
Yeah,
wow.
that's a great,
awesome.
Great thing for businesses to consider.
Yes, absolutely.
Electric co-ops were created in the 30s and 40s during a time when the investor-owned utilities, it wasn't profitable for them to go into rural America. So, co-ops electrified the rural areas and the farms. And our modern challenges with access to the internet and digital skills and all that is kind of the modern equivalent of what co-ops did, back in the 1930s and 40s. And a lot of co-ops are getting into broadband and that as a business, but it is such a challenge. We take it for granted, like we do flipping the switch and the lights coming on, but for people who don't know how to use computers or don't have access to it, it can be really stunting for them.
Yeah, you just don't realize that one of the donations was made to Cross Middle High School, right?
Yeah.
And when we made that donation, we're out there trying to get access to the internet on our phones, and nope, couldn't do it. And so you begin to see firsthand those barriers that are faced. And so it was a really fun event to be able to put those computers into the hands of those families. And part of the Lowcountry Digital Equity Coalition work is, I think, really so important about internet access too, and making sure that's accessible to everybody.
Definitely.
So sometimes it's the it's the mobile hotspots.
Yes,
right,
it's a
that
mobile,
are
yep.
provided along
Yeah.
with the computers.
Yep.
Well, we could talk about all the great work that Palmetto Goodwill is doing all day long, but we are out of time. So to learn more about Palmetto Goodwill, please go to their website, palmettogoodwill.org, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to Power Talk. This is the official broadcast of your electric cooperative. You can catch up on past episodes on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. Get a behind-the-scenes look on Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. Thanks and have a great day.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Ladies.